welcome to APIT Sri Lanka, another webinar and another opportunity to meet wonderful souls, wonderful managers, and of course, wonderful personalities and a human being. So we do have Mr. Fabrice Cavallin, Managing Director of Nestle. And of course, we do have our chairman on behalf of APIT family joining with us. And we have Dr. Rohantha, who is the head of the postgraduate school. So while welcoming all of you, and I would like to give a wonderful thank you and a warm welcome to all our audience who's joining us today, especially our students from the postgraduate programs and from the undergraduate programs, and all the counterpart members who are joining us all the way from UK, all the way from Australia. And thank you so much for joining us for this particular session, the Meet the CEO webinar series that's going on. So with that, let me invite our chairman to share a few words. Our chairman, Mr. Bandula Egodagi. Sir, over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Hi, Fabrice.
Hi,
hi, Fabrice. On behalf of APIT CEO, Mr. Roshan Egodagi, Board of Directors, staff and students, very warmly welcome you today. It's a great honor and privilege to bring you this forum as one of the top CEOs of this country, Sri Lanka. Personally, I am well aware of your leadership capabilities, obviously as my superior, how passionate and purpose-driven. I'm pretty sure and confident that after listening to you, our student will certainly enrich with desired knowledge as per our expectation. Nestle inspire people for healthier life for better future. The same way, APIT inspire love for learning for better future. I must say, both Nestle and APIT are purpose-driven institutes. Not only academic excellence, APIT strive hard to be leaders for the society. I urge all of students to follow Mr. Fabrice Cavallin for next 45 minutes to enhance your competency and leadership skills development. Once again, thank you, Fabrice, for your presence and devoting your valuable time for our students, especially. And also, you have been participating for all trials and making your effort, putting up with a nice presentation and everything for the betterment of our students. We really appreciate your personal effort that you are putting, especially with you in spite of your busy schedule. So once again, thanks a lot, Fabrice, for being with us today. And I would like to ask Dr. Rohantha to carry on with the program. All the very best for everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you, Fabrice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. And it's an absolute honor to introduce one of the top executives of right now serving Sri Lanka in one of the top multinationals that the country always has a lot of esteem on. Fabrice comes with a 25-year career with Nestle, which includes several successful general management roles for Nestle's bottled water and nutrition business across the USA, Argentina, Mexico, Germany, Spain, and India. Prior to joining Nestle Lanka, Fabrice was the regional business head for Nestle's infant nutrition business in South Asia. He was able to deliver outstanding results for nutrition business in South Asian region, achieving strong growth in highly competitive markets. Over his 25 years in the company, Fabrice has earned a reputation for energy, pragmatism, determination to win, setting new standards and creating opportunities to succeed in difficult market environments across varying geographies. He holds a master's degree in economics from the renowned University of St. Gallen in Switzerland. And personally, when I met up with Fabrice, one thing that I really saw was that his love for understanding the key concepts of theory, how well he takes theory, he conceptualizes it to the reality, and then he tries to understand how he can use it to the relevance in the everyday life. And that was so beautiful, Fabrice. And I'm actually honored to introduce you. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Rohantha Bandula Kaushali, for this very impressive introduction. It puts now a lot of pressure on me to really deliver what I want to say today. But first of all, I really want to thank the board of the university to invite me for this CEO meets It's an honor for me. And I'm also very, very happy to share my personal experience, my journey related to such an important topic, which is purpose. You know, purpose over the last 5-7 years has become a very, very important topic in literature, in management and leadership. And I would like to try today to give really my personal view. And I'm also looking forward at the end of the presentation for a very lively Q&A session. And I will be very happy to answer any question. So when I came across these lines, I would say perhaps when I was 30 years old, more than 20 years ago, I came across these lines, and these lines really make me think about, make me think about, when you read the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why, what for. Okay? The moment you can answer this question, basically, then we are talking about purpose. So I think this is a very interesting introduction to what really purpose means and is about. So I tried basically, to what is purpose? And for me, purpose is basically what is something magic that makes you tick. Right? It's something that gets up you in the morning. But purpose is also something, in my opinion, very personal. Everyone has a different purpose. It's personal. And also, purpose can change over time. A purpose can change over time because perhaps you have a very impactful experience which really marks you, impacts you, and surely then your purpose can move, your purpose can evolve. But purpose is always something personal, in my opinion. So then, I was asking myself, what is my purpose? And very frankly, up to my age of 30, I had never asked myself this question. Yes, I was motivated, I was motivated because I finished my studies, I was young, I got into the professional life. I was lucky that my first job was traveling across many countries across the world. I was happy that I can get more responsibilities, but really thinking what motivates me at the end, I never thought about it. And then I asked myself these following questions, what is really from childhood, what is something I always like to do? Not something my parents told me I have to do, something I like to do since my infancy. And what was also something, a most challenging experience in life, which marked me. So I started to think about, and I went back to my infancy, and I was born in Switzerland, and my father was an immigrant in the 60s. And you have to think, in the 60s, this is 60 years ago, was immigrating from Italy to Switzerland. And this was not easy, because it was not easy for the immigrants to integrate in the society, to be accepted. And again, this is in the 60s, where for Switzerland was the first time they have seen basically immigrants. And today, Switzerland is, I would say, is a melting pot. We have more than 25% of foreigners living in Switzerland. So what happened then is, I was lucky, I would say, that my father got a good job, and my father and my mother integrated very well. They learned very fast German. So I was in a good position, privileged position. But I had also many friends, because when you know your origin are Italian, in your heart, you will always be, half of your heart will be Italian. So I had a lot of contact, I had a lot of friends which were from the same origin, also immigrants, but perhaps they were not so lucky and they were struggling. They were struggling because their parents didn't speak well German, so it had an impact on the kids also. So my friends, I tried to help them to learn better German. I tried to introduce them with my other Swiss friends, and I tried them to make them feel that they can achieve something in life. So I dedicated time with them, mostly to help them at school. So I think this was one thing which when I think back, which has marked me. And the second thing is that my mother got sick very early with Parkinson. And at the time she got sick, she was young, she was 36 years old. I was basically working in Nestle and traveling around the world. So when my mother died very young, I felt that I have not spent enough time with her. Right? So spending time with someone was something which marked me also, I think, for the future. So thinking now and combining these two things, I would say that my leadership purpose is, what makes me happy, what drives me is, if I can see that people can succeed. Right? This makes me happy. I still have today contacts with people I worked with people I hired back 20 years back, and we are in contact, and I'm happy to see how they have succeeded. And many of them are even in top jobs, even higher than my job, for example. But this makes me happy because I could spend time with them and I could make them grow. And so I'm happy to see them succeed. So this is basically, I would say, what makes me happy, what makes me drive. I'm happy to spend time with people. I'm happy to have interesting conversation. Yeah, for example, now in my group in Nestle, I have around 10 people I'm mentoring. And for me, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to spend 1.5 hours with each of them every month. So I would say, that for me, purpose-led leadership means you have to be authentic. I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. I do not try to copy someone. I don't go into the literature and see what was the leadership style of Steve Jobs, of Bill Gates. I think it's much easier that you try to be your own and you live according to your purpose. I also strongly believe that purpose-led leadership means empowerment, because I see the job of a leader also to help others to discover their purpose. And once you do this, it gives also empowerment to the other one. Another thing which I think, the third point, which for me it's very, very essential, is leadership means serving. Leadership doesn't mean that people will serve you. It's not because you are on top of a company or in a leadership position that people have to serve you. If I want to make people better, if I want to see people succeed, I have to serve people. I have to be humble. And the fourth point is, which comes out of this then, I really think that purpose-led leadership means also developing other leaders. I think a leader is successful when he can say, I have now 4 people, 5 people, being the amount more people who can succeed me. This is successful. I also think that, and what is my personal experience is, when you live your purpose, you will always try to align business decision with core values. And I think this is very important. If I have, for example, to hire people, and these 2 people in front of me have the same qualification, I would really look about the values. Is this truly a good person? Is this a person that respects other people? So your decision will be driven by core values. One is also asking then oneself, you know, if personal purpose is really individual and everyone can have a different personal purpose, how does it come together with the organizational purpose? Because the organizational purpose, perhaps it's one specific purpose. It comes together by sharing the same values. And I would like now to share with you a short video about my company, about Nestle. And you will see in this video, I hope you feel it, what is the purpose of Nestle and what are the values.
We are Nestle.
We are Nestle.
We are Nestle.
The good food, good life company.
We believe in the power of food to enhance life.
Good food nourishes and delights the senses.
It helps children grow healthy.
Pets thrive.
And parents age gracefully.
Good food helps everyone live life to the fullest.
Good food brings us together.
Good food respects our planet.
Good food protects resources for future generations.
What is good today will not be good enough tomorrow.
How will we meet the nutritional needs of 10 billion people by 2050
in a responsible and sustainable way?
It is a huge challenge.
It will demand significant, even radical change.
At Nestle, we constantly explore and aim to push the boundaries
of what is possible with food, with beverages,
and nutritional health solutions
to enhance quality of life and contribute to a healthier future.
Bring more pleasure and enjoyment through food.
Make people healthier.
Make good nutrition accessible and affordable to everyone.
No.
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 Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
We will use our global resources and local know-how
to deliver impact at a scale and pace that really makes a difference.
We unlock the power of food to enhance quality of life
for everyone, today and for generations to come.
We are Nestle.
We are Nestle.
We are Nestle.
The good food,
good life company.
Yeah, so what you have seen in this video is really, we wanted to express with our own employees, what is our purpose? So I would say, and I'm happy being 25 years in Nestle, we are much more than a simple business. We in Nestle are really driven by our purpose. And our purpose is really to unlock the power of food. We want to make every day better food, because food is the best medicine for health. And we want to do it for everyone, everywhere, independently. If someone can afford a higher or more expensive food or less expensive food, we want to be there for everyone. And we want to be there not only today, but also for the future. But I think the most important thing is that our values. So as you can see, and you have surely, I hope you felt it through the video also, our values are really rooted in respect. Respect for ourselves. Everyone in our company has to be respected. We are not a company, if we see we have very difficult times, that we start then to fire people. We believe in the long term, and we believe that we have to respect our own employees and their families and we have to believe in our employees. At the same time, we strongly believe that we have to respect our suppliers, work together with them, our consumers, our customers, but also our competitors. Respect is important. And in our company, it doesn't matter from which culture you come, it doesn't matter your ways of thinking. We have to respect diversity, and we want to empower diversity. At the same time, we strongly believe in the future. We know that as a company that is selling close to 90 billion US dollars, we are impacting. So we know we have to care about the future. We know we have to care about our planet. And you will see later on what we are doing to achieve this. So basically our framework in the company is based on these three pillars, making food, making nutritious food for everyone, healthy food, so you can have happier lives, but also to build strong communities. We have to improve the livelihoods of our communities we work with. And what I explained before, we really have to protect our planet. So when we see what do we do, we have reduced a lot our sugar content, our salt content. We really try, and this is in Sri Lanka and globally, to serve food that is fortified and that is adapted to the situation of every country. Some countries have certain deficiencies, some countries have more micronutrient deficiencies, and we really try to help there, and we put a lot of technology to fortify our food. We spend around $2 billion US a year in our research center to do better, to become healthier. But I think what makes me very happy is when I see these children, what we do is not only we act through food, we know that doing sport, being active is very, very, very important. So when you see at the standing numbers of 6 million adults and kids, we encourage to do active lifestyle to different things, activities we do. Yeah, we just launched a kids e-learning program. We provide 70,000 free health checks to Sri Lankans to understand where do they stand with their health, and then we give them tips how they can improve. So you see, this makes really the difference, and this makes our employees and myself to really feel happy about what we are doing. When we look at communities, I was this morning, for example, I was with a competitor. So you see, we have respect. I was visiting with a competitor, a model farm. So we can exchange our experiences because we want that our communities grow together with us. We want to invest with them, and we want that they have a good livelihood, because the better they do, the better for society and the better for everyone. It's really a win-win situation. You see, for example, also for coconut, which you know that in Sri Lanka it's very important. And we know that many farmers are struggling. So we have provided them with hybrid plantlets, which are much more resistant to the climate. We are instructing them and helping them to use the water resources efficiently. And look at the smile of this farmer. This is what we do with our communities. Also for us, logically, the use is very important. We do on a regular basis, we do like mock-up interviews to prepare university students for interviews. We do many activities, and we like to be close to universities and work together with universities. We have started now a project I think we have more than 52 projects where we have invited different teams of universities to work together with us to find better solutions on packaging, on more sustainable packaging, and also to work with us to make products that are based 100% on local ingredients and only sourced in Sri Lanka, which at the same time will help again to develop local communities. I want to show now to you a video. I'm not going to show slides, but I thought it's much better to show you video. What do we do for the planet? What are our actions to help and to save our planet? And this video should show you, and I'm sure, also a little bit our values, because in this video, it's our employees here in Sri Lanka who are telling what they do for the planet.
This is my planet. Ennudeyadu.
Pass. Hey, me maget lokayai.
That's why all of us are so committed to making my Sri Lanka more sustainable. இது சுற்றுச்சூழலை பாதுகாத்தல், காலநிலை மாற்றங்களின் போது செயற்படல், நீர் பற்றிய அக்கறை என்பதை குறிக்கும்.
පරිසරය ආරක්ෂා කිරීම යනු කුමක්ද කියලා ඔබ දන්නවද? හරි අපි දැන් ප්ලාස්ටික් අරගෙන බලමු. අපි භාවිතා කරන ඇසුරුම් වලින් වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් ප්‍රතිශක්තිකරණය කරන හැකි ඇසුරුම්. ඒ වගේම අලෙවි ප්‍රවර්ධනයේදී දෙන තෑගි සඳහා දේශීය වශයෙන් අපි ප්ලාස්ටික් භාවිතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. අපගේ කුරුණෑගල කර්මාන්ත ශාලාව කසල පරිසරයට බැහැර කිරීම සම්පූර්ණයෙන් නවතා තිබෙනවා.
දේශගුණික විපර්යාස වලින් අපි කාටත් බලපෑම් ඇති වෙනවා. අපි අපේ කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවේ හරිතාගාර වායු විමෝචනය අඩු කරමින් සිටිනවා. වසර 2050 දී ශුද්ධ වායු විමෝචනය 0කට අඩු කර ගැනීම තමයි අපේ ඉලක්කය. බලශක්ති පිරිමැසීම ගැන සැලකනකොට අපේ කුරුණෑගල කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවේ බලශක්ති පරිභෝජනය අඩු කරලා තියෙනවා. අපේ භාණ්ඩ ගබඩා කිරීමේ හා බෙදා හැරීමේ මධ්‍යස්ථානය වඩාත් පරිසර හිතකාමී ලෙස නැවත ගොඩනංවන්නට අපි කටයුතු කරලා තියෙනවා.
Water is a shared resource that we are committed to managing sustainably. So we've got a lot leaner with our water consumption. What's more, we have a rainwater harvesting system in our factory.
நாம் புத்தி சாதுரியமாகவே செயற்படுகின்றோம். தொழிற்சாலை நடவடிக்கைகளின் போது உருவாகும் கழிவு நீரை நீர் சுத்திகரிப்பு தொழிற்சாலை ஒன்றால் சுத்திகரிக்கின்றோம். இதனால் ஒரு தொன் அளவில் ஏனைய நோக்கங்களுக்காக மீள் பயன்படுத்த முடியும். When it comes to my planet, we're all on one team with one goal, making my Sri Lanka more sustainable. That's why my Nestle
plays so hard
for my planet.
Okay, so you have seen, and I feel very proud of the Nestle family, of the energy and drive they have really to do fantastic work for communities, to work on healthier products, and also to do good to the planet. These are the values, and this is the purpose of our company Nestle across the globe, and also especially here in Sri Lanka. So I invite you also, if you want to see more information about what we are doing, to visit our webpage. But I think more importantly is, I want you to think today, what is your purpose? I really want to invite you, if you have not found your purpose, and believe me, I was reading in literature that less than 15%, 1/5, know what is their purpose. So 85% in surveys globally do not know what is their purpose. So if you are one of the 85%, please start today to think what is your purpose And believe me, it makes your life, in my opinion, easier. It makes you more motivated at work. And at the end, it makes you also happier. So I want to conclude this short presentation by really inviting you to do this important step and find out what is your own purpose. Believe me, it will have an impact in your life. So this was, in few words, my personal journey on the purpose, how I live it, and how I want to take it forward also for the future. So thank you very much for giving me time to share this. And I'm now very happy to answer all the questions you have.
Thank you very much, Fabrice. It was wonderful listening to you, and you just told me, what a beautiful and a blessed person you are, because your purpose in your life and the purpose of the organization is there's a happy marriage in it. So my first question to you is, are you enjoying the #1 ranked country in the world by Lonely Planet is Sri Lanka, and you have lived in Spain, you have lived in India, you have lived across the world. So how do you like Sri Lanka?
I think, I have liked everywhere where I have been, because I think that one has to try to always to see the positive things in every country. If I go, when I was, for example, in Mexico, and I would compare it to Switzerland and say, oh my God, there's too much traffic in Mexico, and I would only complain about the traffic, I will not have a good time. The same when I was in India, I compare India and Sri Lanka. In India, the traffic is huge, it's terrible. The pollution was very bad in Delhi. But I tried to find, when I was traveling in Uttar Pradesh, to connect with the rural people. And this was very, very heartening. Now coming to Sri Lanka, I think Sri Lanka, for me, it's like a country of honey and milk. Everything grows in Sri Lanka. So I can think people can be blessed, everything grows. So there's so much opportunities in Sri Lanka. And I personally enjoy it. I think also to this COVID situation, when the country opened again in July, August, September, and we could not go out, I was very happy to discover different parts of Sri Lanka, and I'm going to continue to do this. So I'm happy to be in Sri Lanka. I'm happy to work with people. As I said, I'm happy if you can see that people progress. And I'm a strong believer that Sri Lanka has a good future. And in one way also, the people merit that Sri Lanka goes ahead and can enjoy a strong future. But I would say, no, I enjoy it. And I've enjoyed it everywhere. Yeah.
Anything very special about Sri Lanka that you like?
It's a good question. First, I like the sense of it's rather, I would say, calm. When you come from Delhi and you land in Sri Lanka, you say, oof, it's calm. I have the feeling I can more relax my mind. I can more resonate. I get connected in one way a little bit to yoga also. My wife does actively yoga, so I try to spend weekends, whenever possible, in the mountains. I like the nature, and I also like the people, because I think if you don't like the people, you will never have a nice time when you are in another country.
Fabrice, since you have worked across the world, is there any key trends you see with regard to how consumer behavior is changing in Sri Lanka?
Look, I think that the trends are getting more and more globally because the world is much more connected, because you have social media, because the youth is watching similar media. They're impacted sometimes by the same influencers and so on. So I think today the trends are global, and trends are also coming fast, new trends and new trends. So what I see globally, and then I come to Sri Lanka, is globally there's a huge trend to protein-based. Protein-based products, there's a huge trend. There's a huge trend in products with no gluten. Before this was also only sports people were having gluten-free products. So we see, especially in Europe, in the States, a trend in gluten-free. Then there's a trend to organic products. We see that consumers, they want to go back to the roots. They want to go back to local. Right? They want to know where the product comes from. Right? This is a trend we see across the globe, which we also see in Sri Lanka. Now in Sri Lanka, when we look at food, here I see there is a big trend coming, or is already, and we accelerate more, is on all products based on dairy, based on milk. Right? Meanwhile, perhaps in the Western Europe, this trend of dairy has changed and is getting now more replaced by plant-based. Right? And I think here dairy becomes very important, but also consumers here are looking really for natural products, products produced with less pesticide. Right? I would say these are the global trends we see.
Thank you very much, Fabrice. Do you feel, Fabrice, you mentioned about COVID, do you feel that the world is getting poorer because of COVID-19?
Poorer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I think is, which is perhaps a little bit, unfortunately, the countries who are rich, they logically have more means to sustain the economy. I give you an example. For example, an extreme example is in Switzerland. The government basically is paying the salary of people who do not have income anymore because of COVID. Bars, restaurants, for 2 months the barber shop were closed, and they can do this because they have huge reserves. Now for countries who have more complicated situation, who have less money, COVID surely has a bigger impact. But for this reason, I also think that the global community has to work together. I strongly believe that the FMI, the World Bank, and so on, their job is there to help countries who do not have the same means as rich countries to help the economy and to help the people. I strongly believe in this, but surely I think the impact on COVID, perhaps we will see it even later. But I also at the same time believe that globally a lot of money has been injected in the economy, which would help globally the economy not to get into, in my opinion, the recession. And you have seen the World Bank predicts again a growth for next year. And I think the better many markets do, many countries, this will also help the developing countries and poorer countries, because there's always a relationship between all the economies. Yeah.
So in Sri Lanka also we see this, Fabrice, because when you have certain markets which are in isolation, and you find it, some people don't have access to going and working, and most of our people tend to be like daily wage earners. What are the key strategies that you would advocate a company to do when you know that there's a lot of pressure on the consumer towards the purse?
Yeah, I think a company has to have a portfolio that caters to different income classes. and the portfolio has to be established this way, and to have different price point, to have different formats, and I think most of the companies do this, have a portfolio to cater to this. But I think even more important than to have the right product portfolio is to help the communities. Yeah? I was talking about the farmers. I think we have to help the farmers. When we were, for example, under the COVID situation and under lockdown here in Sri Lanka, we were very lucky that we could continue with our production. So we had no interruption in production. But unfortunately, other companies, they had interruption, they could not produce. So the farmers didn't know what to do with the milk. So we took milk into our factory, which normally are not our farmers, because we think this is our duty, you know. It would be a shame if someone has to pour away milk. And if we are in a position we can help, we should always help, always. Because communities will always pay it back if you're close to them, if you really do good to them. So I think we have done also a lot of product donations to people who are more needed. And I think this is living up our values. I'm also, a project we are working now in the company also is, why has there to be waste of product? There should be in the system no waste of product. Before a product is destroyed, it should be given to people in need. So I think that there is always many things we can do, and this is never ending. But I strongly believe that working with the community, paying the people a fair price for their milk, it's our duty.
Fabrice, I mean, since you worked in all over the world and you have so much of experience, I'm sure you must be having so many situations where you've handled difficult public relations and image issues in different parts of the world. Now, in Sri Lanka, one of the most challenging things that we had was when the second COVID attack happened and the second wave began. There's been a lot of pressure on how some companies handle the PR, when they found that people had got COVID. So my question to you, sir, is that what is the basic good practices that somebody needs to follow? Because most of the students who are listening to you, all MBA students, wanting to learn the best practice. What are the best practice of handling a PR issue?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. I think the best, in my opinion, to handle a PR issue is to be transparent. The biggest mistake you can do is by not telling the truth. You have to be transparent, and transparent means, is there really an issue? And if there's no issue, you have to explain why. And if there's an issue, you have to put it in the right context, and you have to say, what are you going to do about this? But I think it goes back to transparency. If you're not transparent, it will come back to you in a negative way. This is what we learned. And what also we learned, it's also that you should not negate, or you should really be very sensitive, and you should listen to everyone. But I think this would be my advice.
Thank you very much, Fabrice. Fabrice, now that you have a lot of people who are working remotely in office, like they have to work from their houses sometimes, how do you motivate people who are working in remote situations?
Good question. I think at the end, my team of leaders, they have as leaders to motivate their team. And I think what we try to do is we try, or we have done now, for example, we have facilitated the people working at home. We have facilitated to them if they need a special desk to work, if they need an office chair. So we have facilitated to make sure that the tools are there. And then there has been a huge, fantastic engagement from our HR department, where we have done a lot of activities, which can go from mental activities, physical activities, yoga online. So a lot of activation with our employees through the company, which I think has been seen very positively for our employees. And I think at the end, it goes back to the leader also to be close to the employees and asking, how are you doing? You know, I'm conscious that I'm fortunate that I can have one room dedicated where I can have my office. But I also know there are people who have to work in the kitchen. There are people who have small kids, you know, and perhaps have only 2 rooms. So everyone perhaps has different condition, and we have to respect this. So basically, what our philosophy is, when the COVID situation is okay, and our office is not under curfew, then we analyze the situation. We say, okay, people who want to come to work, they can come, and people who still want to stay at home, they can stay at home. But logically, we respect always the golden rules. So we will have only 50% occupancy at once in the office in order to respect the 2-meter rules. So we give this flexibility.
I'm not sure of this data, but what I heard is in the last 2 to 3 months, Nestle has done a fantastic job in Sri Lanka, and they're having outstanding results. What do you think is the key essence of the management style that maybe you handled that got these outstanding results from people?
Yeah, first I think the good results are it's a team, and everyone in Nestle. It's a team, and I think what I have seen a lot in my career, everything starts with the mindset. Yeah, I think if one has a positive mindset and is convinced things can be better and we can do things better, then it works. And I'm also a strong believer that we need to have a culture of open feedback, because only with open feedback one can also improve. And because myself, also my leadership team, they cannot know everything, you know, and they cannot be informed by everything. So it's important we have this culture where people sit together and say, look, this really goes well, this we can do better. And I think what is important, and which for us was an acceleration during COVID, so COVID had also a positive impact in the sense of way of working. I have the feeling that under COVID, we were working even closer as a team, even though many times remoted, that decisions were taken faster. I think in times like crisis, you have to be very pragmatic. You don't have to lose too much time in thinking the things over for 3 months before you implement something. And I think it was, in general, a fantastic, or it's still a fantastic teamwork across the whole company, starting from the factory to supply chain, the people in marketing, in finance, in corporate affairs, in purchasing. So I think all people understood the better we work together, the better for the company. And I think COVID has accelerated this a lot, because we had to become faster. And I think it has to do with this. I think that one has to live it as a leader, what he wants people to do, and has to show day to day, you know. But I think at the end, it's a complete team effort, because one person cannot. This is not playing chess where you have only another person on the other side and depends only on you. But I think here in a company, it's all about people. The better the people are sharing the same values, the people are aligned, and the people are committed and believe in the company, the results are always better.
Going back to your question of purpose, Fabrice, how do you practically when you're recruiting somebody, what are the techniques you all follow in a multinational on how you check if a particular new recruit fits into the purpose?
Yeah, I think that what we do is first, the person is interviewed by a series of people. Because if the person would only be interviewed by me, it's not enough, you know. So in the interview process, people go and are talking or interviewed by different people of the company. And this goes not only in HR, this is not only the person who at the end has the functional responsibility, we also involve people across. And I think this allows a little bit to give a more reconciled feedback. How do we see a person? And as I said before, I think for us it's very important. One can assume that the technical capabilities, you know, and the experience of someone, it's easier to check, especially the experience. But what makes a difference is the person itself. What are the values of this person? Is this a person going to be who will be able to work in a team or not? Do we see some indication that will be difficult? Is this a person who really shows, or we think shows respect for others? So I think that different techniques which exist, but I don't think that techniques which give us the truth. At the end, it's a decision taken by a team, and then at the end, in my opinion, you only see after certain months really the person you have hired. And believe me, I think the most difficult in management is selecting the people. Yeah, because I think there's no one, or if there's someone, then I think he will be a Superman who says that 100% of the choices he has taken are correct. I think it's you can be 50-50, 60-40, you know, but it's always very tough.
Fabrice, since you come from you always worked in multinationals, and you practice this whole concept called continuous learning, and you know that the whole world is continuously moving and you have to continuously learn. What are the ways in which you can share to the youngsters who are listening to you on the importance of continuous learning, and what are the strategies you follow so that you're up to date with what's happening in the marketplace?
Good question. No, one thing I learned, and one thing which I had to learn is, I think in order to always learn, you have to listen. And I would say perhaps at the beginning, I was not, I would say, not very strong in listening. And I think you need patience and you have to listen. But the most important is you need curiosity. Yeah, curiosity is for me one of the most important thing you should have to be successful. Because only if you have curiosity, number one, you will really ask always, what is behind something? Why it is like this? Can we not do it differently? Curiosity also means that you don't stop at 25 years, but that you continuously want to learn, that you are reading, that you inform yourself. But I think it has to do that you say, no, I want to challenge myself. I want to learn always something new. Because I think it would be very boring in life if one thinks when he's 25 years old or finished university, then that's it, you know. I think there's so many things to be discovered. There's so many interesting people on the planet, and there's so many interesting interaction where you can learn. So I think important is to be connected. Important is, we, for example, in the company, we really want to be connected and more, and we are already with university, with young people, with startups. We just signed today an agreement with the co-working place with startups, which is called The Hedge, here in Colombo. So this also inspires us, and we can share, they can share with us. They bring new thinking into it, but things we have not thought. But I think it's important to share and to involve people. But the most important for me was this curiosity. I always try to ask when I have an opportunity or challenge. I try to conceptualize it and to think, why is it? And I ask 3 times the question, why? Can we not do it differently? Is this really the reason why the situation is like this? Is this really the root cause? Is the root cause of something else? And then you start really to elaborate, and suddenly you discover that you have a challenge which the root cause is something completely different and sometimes easy to resolve. Right? So I think this conceptual thinking is also very key, but it's all based on curiosity, on trying to test, to ask the question, why?
Thank you very much, Fabrice. Before I hand over to Kaushali, because she says there are a lot of questions coming in online, what is what do you expect a graduate of today who applies to an organization like Nestle? What do you look for in a person?
Good question. I think what we look and is, I think a person has to be open-minded. If you have a person who thinks he knows everything, a person has to be open-minded. A person has to be interested. I think we are looking for people who really are looking forward to apply their learning in a company, who are open to work perhaps 2 years in one function, 2 years in another function, because I think it's important that you have to know different functions of the company. And it's also very motivating and very insightful. I think also very interesting when one looks at the curriculum is not only to look what has been his grades and his performance studying, but also what has these people done outside studies? Has this person, the student, been engaged in some leadership role at university or in a sports club? So there are many indications which can show that the person tries to do more, that the person tries to improve. So I would say that the most important is that the person with a good qualification has to be open to learn and to share and willing to add to the company.
Thank you very much, Fabrice.
But I think the open mind is the most important.
Thank you very much. Kaushali, over to you. There are a lot of questions coming in.
Thank you, Dr. Rohan and Mr. Fabrice. Amazingly said. It's all about purpose, and it perfectly fits us. Because to let you know, we are also in the process of telling all our students why not only education and purpose. And for that matter, we are in the process of aligning our students to be in the purpose of loving themselves and loving the institution that they are in, and to be proud about it, and to find out work that passionates themselves and get them go ahead in life. So having that in mind, let me convey the message from our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Roshan Egodage, who is with us, saying hello to you and thank you for joining and supporting us to share this wonderful experience. So with that, let's move on to the questions. So the first one, what do you do to remind employees of Nestle to align with the purpose of the company?
Yeah, tough question, but I think what we try to do first is to try to live it up. I think it's It's everyone in the company has to live the purpose. And now, how do we remind people is, I think we have a lot of interactions in our company. We do every 2-3 months, we do a town hall where we interact, where we also have teams presenting what they do, and we try to align this with our purpose. A good example now is that we organize ourselves now in different teams. So there will be people in supply chain, people in factory, even people who are managing brand. They have to work on and to see how can we bring our purpose more also in our brands. How can Nestle talk about our purpose, and Milo, you know? How can we bring the purpose in our supply chain, working closer together, perhaps with supplier. So also through this kind of project groups or kind of action, this also helps to have the purpose always at the top. And then being a multinational, we receive always global, I would say global objectives or alignments, where clearly we say we have to do this and this for the planet. We want the markets to do this, this and this to contribute on a global scale. So I think it's a whole framework around. But at the end, I think the right answer to this question is it's all about creating the right atmosphere in the company and starting from everyone and from the leadership to live these values. And not to, the biggest mistake could be if you act upon and it's not aligned with the values and it's not aligned with the purpose of the company. I think we would never, we had once in Nestle 20 years ago, we were selling wines. So we had a winery, but this is not with our purpose. We don't want to sell alcohol. Perhaps we want to drink a little bit, but we don't want to sell alcohol. We would not go into to selling cigarettes and so on because it's not aligned with our purpose. So I think actions we do at the same time shows the example, aligns the people also.
Wonderful. So there's another student wanting to know, what are your thoughts about the impact of US election in the global economy, which is of course incurring the Sri Lanka as well?
So let me answer this as Fabrice Cavallin and not as a company, because as a company I cannot voice political. But no, personally, I think I'm very, already before the election, I'm very concerned about the decay of values. Yeah, I think what we have seen is a decay of values. People are just attacked. It's not anymore discussion about the subject, it's just shooting on people. Right? No really discussion about the subject. And I think, my God, you know, the younger generation who are still seeing this behavior, you know, they look up to these people. So again, this is a completely wrong signal for the new generation. And I'm happy that some people say this cannot continue like this. But for me also what is incredible is what I have seen in this election is how information, the power of information. So if you own information, you can impact a lot, positively and negatively. So I'm asking myself how we as human beings are absorbing this amount of information we have today. There's, I don't know per day how many information we have to absorb or we can absorb. But today one is not anymore sure, is it true, is it not true? And you see today, I don't know, 70, 80 million of Americans think that the election was not correct what happened, some frauds happening, even though most of the elections have been certified by both parties. So then you think, but still people continue to think that it's not, something happened. So this is very scaring. But at the same time, I also believe that I believe in positivity. So I believe that things will become back to normal. And I strongly believe as a global citizens that this trend of having more nationalism across the globe will not accelerate, but that we find again a better middle point between working globally, respecting us globally, because I think this is the only way to go. Nationalism has never been good in history. We have seen this in the First World War, the Second World War. So, but I also believe that you have always these waves, more central, more decentralized, more nationalist, less, more global. And I think it will go into, I hope it goes into the right balance, in my personal view. But I'm a little bit concerned about the values. So I think for this reason, I'm really happy to had the possibility to talk to you and to the university students, because education is key today. Education plays such an important role. Sometimes today, even parents are not anymore sometimes up to the job to educate. So even more than the schooling system is important. So, and I think that the role of education and also to get the right values to the students and the right behaviors and values is something key. Difficult, but key.
Okay. Wonderful. So with that, we have so many questions that have been lined up in the purpose alignment towards self and organization. So let me put them into a question. If at all, if one's purpose does not align with the firm one works for, does she or he navigates towards the common organizational goal? If so, how?
Yeah, I think the most important is that you share the same values. I don't know, perhaps the purpose of Google is to connect the world and make information available to everyone. But your personal purpose can be different. But at the end, you have to share the same values. Logically, if your purpose is, I don't want to have that information is shared, I'm against information and so on. It's difficult to formulate this purpose, no? But if you're against this, then you should never join a company. And you should join a company which you truly believe is doing the right thing. But your personal purpose can be different. Like myself, I said, I see my motivation and what makes me happy is to see people succeed. So I can work in different countries, but my values say I want to care about the planet. And Nestle says we care about the planet. So I will not work in an industry that destroys the planet. I would, for example, not work in an oil industry because I believe in renewable energy. So I think it has to do this. I think it has to be connected to the values. If your values are reconcilable with the values of the company.
All right, perfect. So thank you for that. And then another question that compiled all the concerns is about, as a person, how did you overcome the insecurities that you have? And when you had a heartbroken situation at company, and when you had a sadness in you, how did you console yourself as an employee and of course as a human being?
Wow.
Yes, it's indeed a very, very personal question.
I would say when it's something related, when you are in front of perhaps a challenge in the company, okay? Or you have a business challenge. I tell you the truth, I never had basically a sleepless night, because I would only have sleepless nights if I think, or if I see, oh my God, we did something very badly, driven by bad behavior, you know. But if it's a business challenge, a technical business challenge, I always think that one has to stay positive, and one has to believe in the capability of the team and your own capability that we can resolve everything. So I always think that everything has a solution. Everything has a solution, and you should not lose the north or the side. You should stay focused and calm, and you will see that we can resolve it. Now, when I'm for any reason, if I'm down or I'm sad, and so on, my way is my family. My wife, it's for me someone who helps me a lot, someone who always sees the positive things in everything. So this helps me a lot. And I think I always say also, I'm blessed to have the family I have.
Thank you so much. So with that, let's move on to the final question. There were so many questions, but I was able to categorize and give it to you as common questions so that we are covering everyone's concerns. So the last one, Ceylon tea is something that is very popular worldwide. Any ideas, any processes in progress to have Ceylon tea inculcated with Nestle very soon, sooner or later?
Yeah, good question. Look, Nestle, we have our water business with tea. So I would say liquid tea, which is called Nestle. But in the tea business, we have never been. We have, and I think you all know perhaps the Nespresso machine, which is our coffee. And we have done something similar, the same concept for tea. But we have seen that, and we started perhaps 10 years ago, it's called the tea machine, but we only roll it out in Switzerland and France. And we see that still people still want to do and to brew their own tea in many countries. So we have not rolled this out further. But what, yes, is interesting, and what we have projects going on is to see how can we add tea extract to our products, to certain products we have. And this is this project we have where we want to use much more local ingredients in our products and to make them even healthier. And tea extract is something interesting because we also have a ready-to-drink business. So this is something we are thinking very loudly about and see what we can do.
Sure. So it's an absolute pleasure to have this discussion with you today, and it is a wonderful session that we had, especially getting our purpose aligned and getting to know all our stories together so that we can go as a group, as a university and students, finally to start your journey with the career and the passion that you always want to be in. So
one last question.
Sure.
I like to invite our chairman Bandula to ask whether he would like to ask one question. But for me, it's beautiful and an honor to host you, sir. I mean, you have really left a mark on our hearts. The manner in which you have answered the questions and how well you have made an impact that we ask ourselves, what is our purpose? So, Bandula, over to you. Bandula, you have to unmute.
You know, I was saying, I was very happy to share this because in the first interaction we had when we got to know a little bit more about what the university stands for, I was really impressed by the values also, you know. So I think there's a lot of common ground we have, and it's always to share and it's. very interesting. I think we can also learn from you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Fabrice, I have a comment and also I have a question as last. Thank you very much, Dr. Rohant and Kaushali. So first of all, I have to thank you, Fabrice, for the spontaneous answers. You have demonstrated your authenticity, what you have expressed just before. So it's authentic answer that spontaneously came out. It is fantastic. So my question is basically, Dr. Rohant, on daily basis, I'm asking questions, but this is different one. Little broader question. Looking at Fabrice's career at Nestle, he known as the basically the crisis manager, like in loose language, like game changer, right? Any learnings that you can want to share with our students, in especially how you look in at any crisis? Just to say, what is your experience? How you look at it, any crisis?
Wow.
Hello.
I think the most important is that if you see a problem and you think that this problem will be even a bigger problem, then it's really a problem. I think what I try always to see is are there opportunities? But you know, what I always try to see is my advantage I have is that every 3-4 years I can be in another market. And this helps to look at a very fresh and to make perhaps also stupid question, because when you go to another market and then you can make stupid questions because you don't know. And more questions you make, more you understand, but you also perhaps have a fresh look at the challenge. Because if I would, for example, work 30 years on the same subject, I know then perhaps everything, but perhaps I do not challenge myself anymore. And I think the advantage I have as an expert is always to have new challenges, always to be newly motivated, and always to make or having the opportunity to make all the questions I want to make. And by questioning, a lot of answers come out already. This is one thing. And the other thing is, which I always say, and which for me is the big difference, is it all has to do with mindset. I'm a strong believer that the mindset makes you successful or not. You know, if the mindset is the situation is difficult, the GDP goes down, there's less money, then you basically are already on the wrong path. But if the mindset is, okay, situation is difficult, let us see what are the opportunities. Right? And I think having a positive mindset is for me more than 50% of the success. And always to try to strive to see what is behind something, to try to see, can we do things differently? But at the end are the people who do the difference. And I always feel when people start to believe in what we do, then the results come automatically, my opinion. So at the end, it's the people. You can have the best strategy, but the people cannot believe in the strategy, or the people are not motivated by the strategy, so we're not going to be successful. So at the end, it's really about the mindset, positive mindset, having committed people who believe in the cause. Yeah, it sounds perhaps a little bit easy, but simple, but at the end, sometimes the simple things are the things who make the biggest difference. So I would say it's mindset, and mindset.
Yeah. Thank you, Fabrice. That was my last question. Probably I will, before I give it to Dr. Rohant, honestly, on behalf of APIT, devoting your precious and valuable management time for the benefit of our students is amazing, Fabrice. It's really appreciate, and it's not that easy to get CEO's time for 1.5 hours, including preparation time, and your presentations, all these tailor-made thing for our students. So it's really, really appreciate on behalf of EPIT and the Sri Lankan student fraternity. So once again, thank you. Let's meet up. I will ensure that you will have a chance to meet when the schools is open to one-to-one purpose with the students. We need your more and more inputs. Yeah, we need your more and more inputs, our students. So thank you very much once again. Dr. Rohant, over to you.
Thank you, Bandula. I would really love to meet the people one by one or drink a tea or coffee together. I think this is what makes difference in life.
Yes, thank you, sir. Rohant, over to you.
Thank you very much, and it was so great. Even yesterday, when we met up for just 1 hour, we went on chatting for almost 3 hours, and it just shows how committed you are to this whole thing of sharing and sharing your experience with people. Kaushali, over to you, please.
Again, so thank you so much on behalf of the EPIT family, and that brings us to another closure of our webinar series, Meeting a CEO. Just not another CEO, but a wonderful person, wonderful human being. So thank you very much again, Mr. Fabrice, and we hope to see you around in EPIT whenever we have the opportunity to meet students. Until then, good night to everyone. We'll meet back again in another session.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. It was a pleasure. And good night also.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, sir.
Thank you. All right.